Craving a steakhouse-worthy meal at home? While many beef cuts are easy to prepare, a few can challenge even seasoned cooks. Some steaks demand extra care, technique, or timing. Here's a list of 7 notoriously difficult steaks to master in your own kitchen. Round steaks come from the rear section of the cow, a well-exercised area near the hind legs. Because these muscles work hard, they're lean with minimal fat, making the meat less tender than cuts with more marbling. This lack of fat contributes to their tougher texture and makes them more challenging to cook properly. Eye-round steak, in particular, is a budget-friendly choice often found in grocery stores. Its affordability appeals to many home cooks, but it's not the easiest cut to work with. If not cooked with care, eye-round can turn out dry, chewy, and far from satisfying. That said, there are ways to make this cut shine. Slow, low-temperature cooking methods like braising, sous vide, or slow roasting can transform it into a tender, flavorful dish, but they require some know-how and a bit of patience. Marinating the steak in advance can also help break down muscle fibers and improve tenderness. According to ButcherBox chef-in-residence Ashley Lonsdale, the salt in the marinade will help tenderize the meat, and you can introduce more aromatics. Marinating eye-round takes planning and patience, much like slow cooking. If you're after a fast, fuss-free meal, this cut isn't the best choice for a quick dinner fix. Skirt steak comes from the plate section of the cow, located along the belly. This area is higher in fat compared to leaner cuts like round steak, which can make it appealing for home chefs looking for flavor. But don't be fooled. Skirt steak presents its own set of challenges. For one, it's filled with tough connective tissue that can become chewy if not handled correctly. Its long, narrow shape, sometimes stretching up to 2 feet, can also make it tricky to manage in a home kitchen, especially on smaller grills or pans. Its thinness means it cooks very quickly, leaving little room for error. Ideally, it should be cooked to medium or medium rare to keep it juicy and tender. Just a bit too much heat or time though, and skirt steak can turn dry and disappointingly tough. Timing and technique are everything with this flavorful but finicky cut.
Such a thin cut, then you need to sear it very fast and very hot.
Nailing that level of precision on a grill, broiler, or stovetop can be tricky for less experienced cooks. For something a bit more forgiving, flank steak is a solid alternative, says Lonsdale. Flank steak is a great cut. It's easy to identify the grain to slice against when it's time to serve, and it can feed multiple people. Chuck cuts are sourced from the cow's shoulder and neck, areas packed with hard-working muscles and minimal fat. This results in a tougher texture, similar to round cuts. While chuck is often ground for burgers, it's also sold as budget-friendly steaks. But don't be too quick to throw one on the grill. Also called shoulder steak or London broil, chuck eye steak can be flavorful, but it requires careful handling. It should be seared quickly, then finished gently to reach medium rare. Cook it too long, and it turns dense and chewy. Barry Sorkin, owner of Smoke Steak, advises home cooks to steer clear of heavily muscled cuts like chuck eye. Their unforgiving texture makes them tough to get just right. He noted, "For the home cook, I recommend cooking steaks that are naturally tender, boneless, well-marbled, and relatively uniform. These characteristics offer the less experienced cook a good deal of forgiveness and even cooking, and are suited for a number of different cooking methods." Tri-tip steak, sometimes referred to as California's cut, comes from the lower portion of the sirloin near the cow's belly. Recognized for its triangular shape, this lean, boneless cut offers a lot of flavor, but it also comes with its share of challenges for the home cook. Occasionally sold with a fat cap, tri-tip may require trimming before cooking, a step many store-bought steaks don't demand. That alone can be intimidating for those who prefer cuts that are ready to season and sear. Its uneven thickness adds another layer of difficulty. The thinner end tends to cook faster, often reaching doneness well before the thicker portion. While this might work when serving people with different doneness preferences, it's a drawback when aiming for consistent results throughout. Even after mastering the cook, slicing tri-tip properly is essential. The steak contains 2 distinct muscle grains running in different directions. If not sliced against the grain, and at the right angle, it can turn chewy fast. Properly navigating the grain shift mid-steak and cutting it into manageable portions takes practice and some butchering know-how. For those unfamiliar with the cut, this can be a frustrating finish to an otherwise well-cooked meal. Bone-in ribeye comes from the lower rib section of the cow and includes a portion of rib bone still attached. Some steak lovers believe the bone enhances flavor, though experts are split on whether it truly makes a difference. What's more certain is that the bone can complicate cooking. It affects heat distribution, often causing uneven results. Overcooked edges with an underdone center. That's why bone-in steaks can be tricky for beginners. Barry Sorkin points out that For home cooks, boneless cuts are generally the safer, more forgiving option. Bones can add significant cost to your raw product and make it more difficult to cook the steak evenly. Bones can insulate the steak from the heat source, making the meat around the bone cook at a slower rate than the rest of the steak. When cooking bone-in steaks like ribeye, heat doesn't distribute evenly. The area near the bone often stays cooler, leaving parts undercooked while the outer edges finish faster. Because of this inconsistency, it's a cut that's better handled by experienced cooks or professionals. Hanger steak, like skirt steak, is a thin cut taken from the plate section of the cow. What sets it apart, though, is rarity. Each cow yields just one hanger steak, making it harder to find in standard grocery stores. That scarcity also makes it less sustainable than more commonly available cuts like flank steak or ground beef. Despite its reputation for tenderness and rich flavor, hanger steak poses a few challenges. A tough membrane runs through the center and must be removed before cooking. If left in, it results in an unpleasantly chewy bite. Cooking hanger steak is also a delicate process. Because it's so thin, there's very little room for error. A minute too long on the heat and it becomes dense and tough. Take it off too soon, and the texture can feel overly soft and underdone. It's best served between rare and medium, but hitting that sweet spot takes experience and precision. For those still building their confidence in the kitchen, mastering hanger steak can feel more like a gamble than a guaranteed win. T-bone steaks are named for the T-shaped bone that divides the cut. Coming from the cow's short loin, they feature two distinct types of steak, a tenderloin on one side and a strip steak on the other.
You better be thinking T-bone steak medium rare.
With bone-in cuts like T-bone steaks, the meat near the bone cooks slower due to the bone's insulating effect. This often results in uneven doneness across the steak. Since a T-bone includes two distinct cuts, strip steak and tenderloin, it's crucial to use a cooking method that ensures both sides cook evenly, like a grill with dual heat zones. Barry Sorkin, however, suggests opting for boneless steaks instead. He emphasizes that these cuts are easier to cook consistently, avoiding the challenges posed by bone-in steaks. I like a ribeye. Its natural tenderness, rich flavor, and good marbling deliver great flavor and tenderness and will stay juicy even if slightly overcooked.